I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. We got Tina Peters, attorney, in studio.
And it's still snowy and cold outside.
This is going to be one for the record books. Today's show, we had Democrat Senator Jeff Bridges on, Vice Chair of the Joint Budget Committee. We're debating Minnesota. And now we got Tina Peters, attorney, live in studio. This is going to be an interesting one. John Case was making the arguments before the Colorado Appeals Court. We're going to get to him here in just a minute. Now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Monday morning, 10 degrees and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 43 today. After the sun rises and we'll have blue skies. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, our storm on Sunday has delayed and closed some schools today, and DIA may be a challenge this morning and this afternoon. Check before you leave home. They are definitely going to have some delays. The intense winter storm that pummeled much of the country has claimed the lives of more than a dozen people across multiple states. 5 people were found dead outside in New York City. At least 3 people were killed in Tennessee, with other deaths reported in Arkansas, Kansas, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Texas. DHS is being ordered by a federal judge to not destroy evidence in Saturday's deadly ice-involved shooting in Minneapolis. Alex Preddy was shot and killed by federal immigration agents Saturday morning. A federal judge has now granted a temporary restraining order requested by Minnesota AG Keith Ellison. The DJT administration defending the shooting, saying that Preddy was armed and intended to harm federal immigration officers. AFC Championship game on Sunday. The Storm arrived in the second half, and it was all about footing, holding on to the football, and taking time off the clock. One of the huge plays of the game, 1:57 to go. Broncos down 10-7, 3rd and 6 for the Patriots. The Broncos needed to stop quarterback Drake May.
No safety deep. Oh, here he goes. He can try to beat him with his legs. As Ellis runs after him, and May got there. Drake May outraces the defender.
First down run by the quarterback. Couple plays that may have been the difference. Broncos go for it. In the second quarter on 4th and 1 from the Patriots 14 instead of trying to kick the field goal, head coach Sean Payton.
Well, we ended up in a 6-1 front. They ended up playing a heavy 6-1. There was a clock stoppage, so we had a nickel run called, and then I don't know if there was a timeout or they called one. But, it's a slipper naked that we've run pretty well.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Billy.
They played a 6-1 in front with a kind of a 2-deep shell. So the run look was going to be, hindsight, the initial sub-run thought was a better decision.
Hey, they had a lot of momentum. They were moving the ball. They had some confidence, and hey, why not go for it?
Yeah. And again,
still 2 quarters to play.
If you knew that the second half was going to be so awful weather-wise, I think you may make another decision. However, on the flip side, you go, well, at this point, we better get into the end zone before the weather goes bad to get to 14. So
that's right.
Yeah, there's.
You
it's
could
a
look at it
difficult
different
one.
ways, no
yeah.
doubt.
The other one that but again, you and me, Blake. One of those things is I want to know how often those field goal kickers went out during the snowstorms and practiced, because I don't think either of them practiced. I'm just saying that might be something next time there's snow, either New England or here. You go outside and you punt. The other one was we had Patriots fans behind us in the stands yesterday. They hate their punter. Absolutely hate him.
I don't blame him.
It was horrible. And at least I'm going, we can take advantage of it somewhere. But, the entire time they were like, no. They're like, this guy's horrible. Yeah. The entire time they were like, oh, no, we're punting again.
It was bad.
Yeah,
man.
it was really bad. He was really bad. And
that's tough.
Yeah, our punter would nail it, and they're like, why can't we do that? Yeah, I know.
Well, that's great. No, that's
Tiny
definitely
victories.
a skill.
Yeah, tiny victories.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. This is the one that really hurt the Broncos. Instead of eating the ball and taking the sack in the second quarter, Jarrett Stidham tried to make a play and lost the ball in the first half.
Backing up. Oh, the ball comes out. Is that a fumble? Is that a live ball? It's picked up by the Patriots. And that is a touchdown for Ponder if they call it a fumble.
Yeah.
And
there went the energy.
yep, absolutely.
Like air out of a balloon in the stadium. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
It was a tough one because it's a mistake that, again, is based on pressure and panic and bad decisions and weather and everything else and not being in that situation before. But it was a time I felt Broncos fans went, oh, yeah, the backup is still struggling. That it's not a guy that's going to step in and he's going to have his moments, that there are going to be times in which he's going to still make that type of backup mistake. Yeah, a tough one. He made a couple of them yesterday, but that's okay.
Yeah.
May
Just
a couple of
trying to make a play, you know? Trying to do whatever he could.
He was trying hard, but
absolutely.
Oh, well.
Here's
Come on,
Jarrett.
Seahawks.
Exactly. There you go. No, I hear you. Here's Jarrett Stidham after the game.
Obviously, I can't put our team in a bad position like that. I was trying to throw it away to TB. He was in the area, and the pressure. He just got up on me real fast, and I was just trying to get rid of it. And like I said, I can't put the ball in in a position like that. So
his life would have changed so much if he would have won the game. Now he's talking about, we'll be back next year. If he would have won that game and he goes to the Super Bowl and God forbid he wins the game, he definitely would not have been a Denver Bronco next year.
Yeah.
He would have been starting for somebody else next year. So it's funny how your life can change on a dime. So it'd be nice to have Stiddy back as a backup if you're a Bronco fan, I would think. Really solid backup. Broncos the Patriots, who will they take on? Here we go.
Done a great job. Third down here over the middle. Cooper Kupp. It's in. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Seahawks look great, and so did the Rams. But the Seahawks better, 31-27 in the NFC Championship game. And Sam Darnold, quarterback, 346 yards and 3 TDs. Jeff Bridges in the studio last hour. No, not that Jeff Bridges, another one. Colorado State Senator Jeff Bridges, running for state treasurer, a Democrat who wants to make Colorado more affordable. But Jeff asked him, aren't Democrats the reason we can't afford much in Colorado?
I think the affordability crisis is something that has been caused in large part by national forces, and we are doing our best here in the state to push back against them and to ensure that our state has those homes that folks can afford when they're working in middle-income jobs.
All right, I would argue that the national forces have a D in front. Yeah, exactly. Those national forces. Who might those have been?
Right, that's a good point.
We appreciate him coming in. That was awesome. And he's an Arapaho warrior. We like those guys. That's good.
We were talking offline because I was joking with him that by the time I reached my senior year, I dated all the girls I wanted to at Creek and was over at Arapaho hanging out, which is true.
Nice. There's only 1,500 girls at Cherry Creek.
That was his answer. He goes, it's not like it's a small school, Jeff. Like,
right.
But
jeez.
But I was very strict.
What are you doing, Jeff?
Well, because you had to be a Bible-believing Christian woman, and that's who I was interested in.
Gotcha.
It shrinks the numbers a lot.
This is very strange. Okay, this is one of those things where this is like, Jeff and I have these weird confluences where we're very similar, and then obviously if you listen to the show long enough, you'll hear those places where we diverge. But the fact that he's going out there and he's going to Arapaho and dating girls that are at the high school, let's just say that during my high school career, I dated a majority of their cheerleading squad.
At Arapahoe?
Yeah, worked my way through the squad.
Running around during lunch periods.
Yeah.
We don't even go to the school. We just
not
showed
at all.
up and we're
Yeah.
running around. We're like
Yes.
Matthew
Oh,
McConaughey.
yeah.
Dazed and
I think
confused.
over high school, I think I did 3 Arapahoe homecomings and 2 proms.
Me too. I was there. Yeah, 100%.
Funny.
Oh yeah,
That is
I guess we
funny.
found out where all the cute girls were.
Yep.
Arapahoe.
You were hanging out at the Burger King
Yeah, I
across the street.
I caused some drama with infighting on the cheerleading squad. I'm just gonna let you know.
Did you?
Yeah, oh yeah, did I ever? Yeah,
Girls
'cause
were
had
fighting
broken-
over whether
Oh,
or
no.
not they could debate.
Oh no, the issue was
Ford.
I would break up with someone, then start dating another person on the squad, and then there's drama. You know how that works.
that'll
It's not a
happen.
matter of I was the best catch. It was like
Yeah.
you're dating that jerk, and then I hate you now. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, man. That's what happened. Yeah.
I love this show. The things I learn. It's awesome. Nuggets and the Grizzlies postponed because of ice and snow. The Avs over the Maple Leafs 4-1. 9 in Parker, 8 in Arvada. Be careful out there. 10 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy. It is Monday. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
Your 710 KNUS forecast this early Monday. Clear and chilly this morning. Temperatures right around 10 above as you start the day. A nice warm up on the way this afternoon with sunshine, highs in the upper 40s. A few clouds tonight, lows in the lower 20s. We'll see sunny for Tuesday and Wednesday with highs in the upper 40s. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Suzanne in with the text of the morning so far. Mills never
Yes.
changed, do they? Still talking about high school conquest into their 50s.
If you want, Suzanne, I'll pull my shirt off and I'll start doing that armpit fart noise. I'm sorry. No, we don't change. We're always big giant goofs. And the fact that any of us stay married long term is a tribute to you women. Because, oh my God, what do you do
True
with us?
story. Very true story. Live in studio with us is John Case. He serves as Tina Peters' attorney here in Colorado. Big weeks for you guys. I mean, goodness. Jared Polis hinting that he may commute her sentence, which I think he should. You had the appeals before the Colorado Court of Appeals, and then Tina gets assaulted in prison as well. Never a dull moment for you, Mr. Case. Thanks for joining us here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
Pull that microphone real close, right up next to you. There you go. Perfect. So give us the latest. First of all, how's Tina doing?
Well, her health is better. She's in solitary, so they
didn't just move her? The news was that they just moved her to a different facility. No, she's actually in solitary right now.
Yes. They call it IDO. It means intake, diagnostics, and orientation. But it's solitary confinement. And she's not an intake inmate. she is not getting any treatment. She's not getting any orientation. There's no diagnostics, so it's solitary confinement. I went down and visited her last Thursday. So physically, her health is better because the ventilation system and the HVAC in solitary confinement is better than it is in the unit where she was before. So after the DOJ inspected that facility because of issues that Tina raised in federal court, they changed out the filters in the HVAC system, the swamp cooler system on the roof. Those filters hadn't been changed in years. And Tina had this cough for like 4 months. And she's a lung cancer survivor, so we were very concerned she might have, that the cancer might have come back. But it turned out when they changed the filters, her cough went away.
Can you tell us what happened in that broom closet? A lot of us have seen the video. What happened? Because there's a moment where the arm disappears, so you don't really, from the assaulter. What happened to Tina Peters?
So this woman is a 29-year-old inmate who was convicted of felony assault. She stabbed her fiance 3 times in the back and then stabbed her own brother in the hand. So she comes into the room. Tina is trying to fill the water tank in a swamp cooler. And she's pulling the swamp cooler into the closet. So Tina's back, entering the closet, walking backwards, pulling the swamp cooler toward her into the closet, because there's a hose in the closet that she can fill the water tank. Well, why would somebody be filling a swamp cooler in the middle of winter? Because the heat in the temperature in their cells in the unit she was in gets over 90 degrees at night because the HVAC controls don't work. So to be able to sleep, they need to cool the room down enough to sleep. So Tina was filling the swamp cooler with water. While this violent inmate starts screaming at her, "You disrespected me." And Tina says, "Calm down, we'll work this out. If you want to get into the closet, I can move the cooler." Well, at that point, this inmate reaches around and throws a right-handed punch at Tina. So she raises her left arm, blocks the punch, and has a bruise now on her left arm. Then she comes out of the closet, grabbing the wrist of her assailant with her left hand, and then pushing her backwards with Tina's right hand. And they get out into the middle of the room, and then Tina disengages, and at that point the inmate says, "We're on camera." So the whole thing looked as if it was planned.
Really? You think it was?
Yes.
Who do you think is planning this?
There's a lot of people who want Tina to stay in prison until she dies. And why would this inmate, out of the blue, assault her?
Yeah.
And then let Tina push her backwards? Because obviously this 29-year-old is stronger than Tina. So Tina's 70 years old.
Well, in that video, she looks like she's running the yard. That was my first comment. She's really tough. She's pushing her back. Let's talk about the likelihood that Tina Peters might have her sentence commuted. Jared Polis hinted at that.
Yes.
And in the appeals argument, even the judges question the length of the sentence, which I think even if you believe Tina did something wrong or whatever, 9 years is wildly excessive. So do you think, John Case, that we're going to see Tina Peters out here soon?
I certainly hope so. It would be a great thing for the governor to do, because the trial judge sentenced her to 9 years because of what she said. May I read to your audience what
Please.
the judge said?
Please.
The judge said to Tina, "This is what makes Mrs. Peters such a danger to our community. It's the position she held that has provided her the pulpit from which she can preach these lies, the undermining of our democratic process, the undermining of the belief and confidence in our election systems. Prison is for those folks where we send people who are a danger to all of us, whether it be by the pen or the sword or the word of the mouth." And that's the reason the judge gave for giving her 9 years and no bond on
Word of the
appeal.
mouth. He
Yes.
said that.
He did.
Wow. And I had heard stuff, but I guess I skipped over that. Wow. Word of the mouth.
Yes. So the all three appellate court judges were concerned about imprisoning somebody for speech. Right. I think Judge Lipinski asked the Deputy Attorney General, who was arguing the case for the state, "Isn't this uncharged conduct? How can you sentence somebody to 9 years for uncharged conduct?"
Now, people would say oftentimes you get a harsher sentence because you refuse to recant or apologize for what you did. What's your response to that criticism that Tina Peters just should have said, "I'm sorry"?
Well, she acknowledges that she could have used a different method for getting an expert into the room during the trusted build. That was allegedly the crime she committed, although we maintain it wasn't a crime because Tina had control of the room. So those are her premises. She's the elected county clerk and recorder. And this came out at the trial when a Secretary of State witness was on the stand and a juror asked this question of the witness, which was the best question of the trial. Not even the lawyers asked a question this good. The juror asked the Secretary of State's witness, "Well, why didn't you guys check ID if you were concerned about who was in the room?" And his answer was, "We don't have that authority," acknowledging that Tina had the authority to let anyone in that she wanted. And she let in a guy who was a white hat hacker who had worked for the federal government on numerous occasions, who had examined election equipment around the country, who had security clearances. He was fully qualified to do what he was doing. They alleged that Tina's crime was she misrepresented his identity to the Secretary of State's person who was doing the so-called trusted build.
If now, John Case, lawyer for Tina Peters, if all that is true, why did Tina create the criminal conspiracy outside of usual procedures in order to affect this gathering of the data?
Well, you're assuming that Tina created a, quote, criminal conspiracy.
Yeah, I'm operating off of that based on the fact that they took conversations outside of the usual manner and they put together a plan in which a person was going to be identified by an ID that was not theirs and then represent that person as someone they are not. They introduced that person to the rest of the staff as Mr. Wood. He is not Mr. Wood. They then turned off the security cameras and brought the guy back in under darkness. If this is all above board, why aren't these communications done through regular channels? Why didn't he come in during regular hours? And why were the security cameras turned off? If it's all under Tina's purview and something she has the ability to do, why then make all those choices?
Sure. So first of all, turning off the security cameras was legal, and the prosecutors acknowledged that it was legal. The security cameras were required to be turned on 60 days before an election and 30 days after. That's when they have to be on. The most recent election was April 6, 2021. The trusted build was May 25th, 2021. So there's more than 30 days in between there, so it was legal to turn the cameras off. She turned the cameras off because this gentleman, Conan Hayes, had said, look, I can't have my identity known if I'm going to do this for you.
Why?
because he was hunted by cartels.
But this is, hang on a sec though, this is the process that is all above board. So but what I push back on is if this process that Tina is affecting inside the office, if the person that she goes to gather this data, again, outside of the normal processes and procedures inside of the office, is someone that is hunted by the cartel, perhaps you get somebody else. That doesn't absolve her from the responsibility of inventing or taking somebody else's ID and misrepresenting that person and allowing them to have access to a system they shouldn't have had access to. None of that makes it okay.
Let's let John respond. Go ahead, John.
Well, first of all, Gerald Wood consented to giving his key card to Conan Hayes. And there's numerous witnesses who know this, including Gerald Wood. And at trial, we showed him and showed the jury the chain of text messages where he indicated that he was the guy who would do this. So that's why the jury acquitted Tina of the three felony counts related to Gerald Wood.
However, that does not take away the fact that Tina misidentified who the individual is and came in outside of usual protocol in order to enact this conspiracy. Even if he says it's okay, and I disagree with you about him saying it was okay, there's some changes on whether or not it was okay to use the ID, but Tina still did misrepresent him. And if the best case scenario is someone that you have to lie about who the person is to come in, I disagree that is the only person that has the ability or the knowledge in order to affect that information or that change or understand what's going on in the computer systems. There are lots of other people across the country that could have done the same thing. We didn't have to get this guy we had to lie about. But the fact that she got the guy to lie about shows the conspiracy. She had to hide who he was and bring him into the cover of night. You don't do that if it's above board.
Bill, are you aware that before she was introduced to Conan Hayes, she asked the county IT department if they would view the trusted build, if they would oversee it? And the county IT department said, no, we won't do that. So she did try to go through regular channels. And after the county refused to help, she was stuck. She had this, she was between a rock and a hard place. Under federal law, those are her election records. They belong to the people of Mesa County, and she is responsible for them.
I might take a disagreement. They're not her election records. They belong to the people of Mesa County. She does not have purview to do with whatever she wants with them. And the idea being if she would go in prior to the trusted bill and delete everything, that wouldn't be okay, and that would be illegal. So she does not have control or purview over all those records. Those are the county records, and that's part of the issue. She doesn't have total control over them and get to decide what's done with them, and she can't give them to whoever she wants. That's not under the control of what her job allows her to do.
No, Bill, she didn't delete anything. Conan Hayes went into the...
No, I was giving an example and saying that if she did, that would be out of her purview as well. That was just an example. It's not what happened. What I'm saying is even with that responsibility, she does not have the authority to hand Conan Hayes anything out of that office.
She didn't hand Conan Hayes anything. He made a forensic image of the Mesa County election management server hard drive.
How did he do that without her allowing him in?
Well, she had the authority to let him in.
That's what I'm saying by handing him them. I'm saying by the fact that she let him
debating,
in.
going back to the original
let's move
issue.
On. Let's move
but
on
I do want to get to
the commutation of the sentence.
what we might be seeing moving forward with regards to Tina Peters. And we have John Case, Tina Peters' attorney, live in studio with us. John, what are you hearing from the governor's office? Is it likely that we may be seeing her out anytime soon? Can you give us any update on that?
Well, first of all, I have not communicated with the governor's office, so I'm not sure what the governor's thought process is.
How about with some of the, so you're working through the appeals, Colorado appeals, and making the argument that the sentencing in itself was unjust and too long, and it seems like they're open to that, and I agree with them, that even if you debate all these facts, 9 years is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, but then there's also a federal angle to this. Are you working with the attorneys out of Washington, D.C., with regards to some of the challenges that are coming Trump's pardon and whether or not there could be some federal oversight of this particular case?
Well, I am not in touch with anyone at DOJ.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know they're investigating to see if, I believe, I don't know. I believe they are investigating to see whether the Secretary of State committed federal crimes by deleting the 2020 election records, which they certainly did delete them. And federal law requires every officer of election to preserve election records, including digital records, for 22 months after the election. So on May the 25th, 2021, the Colorado Secretary of State went into Mesa County, just as the Secretary of State did in 61 other counties, and erased all of the election records from the 2020 election in violation of federal law. So what they do in this so-called trusted build, I refer to it as the wipe, because the first thing they do is they erase everything on the hard drive, and that's completely unnecessary. You could take the hard drive out and save it as evidence, or you could make a forensic image of it, but they don't. They just wipe everything off the hard drive. So the election records are gone. And if Tina hadn't had Conan Hayes preserve a copy.
That's not 100% true. They hang on to the election records post-election because they can go backwards and they can recreate some of the votes. They hang on to everything that is required by state and federal law. It's not as if Tina didn't save these things, it would have been disappeared. They have the records.
Bill,
they have everything.
Bill, you are incorrect.
No.
I can show you the federal law. This is what it requires.
Everything that was supposed to be preserved under federal and state law was preserved.
That's totally incorrect.
No, that's
they
erased
what it shows from everything on the hard drive in violation of federal law.
No, it's preserved early, and then they erase the hard drive because that's part of the trustless build. That's why you save the stuff prior to. That's
Bill,
the system.
You're mistaken.
No, I'm sorry. I disagree with you on this.
Well,
we can leave this for another time.
You can disagree, but let me state for your listeners what the facts are.
No, I've talked to people that are county clerks about the process, and this is the process. They save it beforehand. That is held, and then it's cleaned out, and that's part of the trusted build that you go from the ground up. So yes, the computer would be erased, but the idea that everything is not held on afterwards is incorrect.
May I talk now?
Yes, your turn.
All right. Now, what they do preserve is the total numbers from the election, but they don't preserve the data that shows how the ballots were tabulated and how the votes were counted, which is what federal law requires. And this practice was put in by the Secretary of State. So if you go and look up those records that they saved, you'll have no idea. All you'll know is who won. You won't know how. You won't know how the ballots were counted. You'll just get a vote total. That's what they saved.
I have asked multiple sources about what has been saved as far as Mesa County, and multiple sources have told me that they saved everything that was required under state and federal law. And I have seen nothing, and even inside of the trial that you had with Tina, that shows anything different than that. I have no reason to doubt any of the people that have told me this, that everything that was supposed to be saved was based on federal and state law. Now, Tina wanted to save other stuff. Tina wanted to save other stuff outside of what is supposed to be outlined by federal and state law. And that seems to be the glitch between what was saved and what wasn't. But as far as what was saved, I see no indication, nor anybody's proven any proof that that Mesa County erased what was required by both the state and the feds.
I'll give John the final word on this one. Go ahead, John.
This is what the voting system standards say, and they are law in Colorado. Colorado adopted a statute that requires them to follow the voting system standards. This is from section 2.2.4.1, subsection H. To ensure system integrity, all systems shall maintain a permanent record of all original audit data that cannot be modified or overridden. The state of Colorado does not do that. They erase it.
Now, I do want to ask you, John, because right where you're sitting, we've had Matt Crane. This is Denver's top right, left, center debate show. So everybody comes on, which we appreciate. Matt sat right there and just said they could always do a hand count of the ballots if they wanted to. No one's ever asked to do that. What's your response to that?
Well, do they still have the ballots from 2020?
I don't know about right now, but following these elections, no one ever sought to do that with these. And why not, if there's concerns over the 2020 election, for instance, do a hand count of the ballots?
Well, actually, that was suggested by one of the county commissioners, Cody Davis. But it didn't happen because of once they came after Tina, it wasn't possible to do that.
All right, John Case, Tina Peters, attorney here in Colorado, live in studio with us. When are we expected to hear, again, I'm going to go back to this, I've said it over and over again, this debate that we're having here, which I appreciate both you guys jumping in on. I still can't get to 9 years in my mind as to why, in the midst of all these, even if you agree with either side of these, you would punish somebody you disagree with to 9 years in prison. When are we expected to hear from the Court of Appeals with regards to the appeal you guys had on the length and fairness of our sentencing?
Well, courts don't have deadlines. They have deadlines for lawyers. If you don't do something on time, your client loses. But there is no deadline for the court. So they could rule today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. So we don't know.
And what's the spectrum of the rulings that could come out? For everything from, 9 years is fair to get her out in the next hour?
Yes.
Wow, that is all up there.
Yes.
How can people be involved in this case, continue to follow it, support Tina if they choose to support Tina Peters?
If you go to tinapeters.us, you will get the latest information, and you can support Tina there by contributing. In fact, that's how the lawyers get paid, is from $25, $50, $100 contributions from all over the country.
John Case, Tina Peters, attorney here in Colorado. Are our elections secure in Colorado from your perspective?
No.
And what's the concern?
This voting system is a menace to our liberty. The people who designed it to rig elections in Venezuela. That company was Smartmatic. The controlling interest in Smartmatic was owned by the Venezuelan government. And in 2013, and I know this because I went to another state and I took I did an examination under oath of one of the Venezuelan whistleblowers who came to the United States in order to expose this. He ran the Situation Room for the Venezuelan government during elections. So he heard the order given in 2013 to inject 1.2 million votes. Chavez was dying. Maduro was the government candidate to replace him. At 10 a.m. in the morning, Maduro was behind by 1 million votes. They pumped in 1.2 million fraudulent votes so Maduro could win. That same software, a version of it, is what we use in Colorado. There are at least 14 back doors to get into that software to change election results.
No, those are security concerns, but do you have direct evidence that our votes have been changed or additional votes have been pumped in Colorado?
No. If I could prove it, I would. But I can't, because the system erases records during an election as the election proceeds. Dominion designed the election records retention so that as files are created during the election, they are overwritten by the next record. So when the election's done, the only thing you have is the most recent record. You can't see what happened before that.
That's John Case, Tina Peters, attorney, joining us live in studio. We'll continue and love to hear your feedback. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show Classic. Jeff and Bill Show, where text messages are on either side of our last guest.
Yes, they are.
Jacqueline saying, I work elections. We don't save all the info. We just save the totals. The attorney is right.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Jacqueline, is that I have checked with numerous county clerks and recorders, and they have said to a T that everything that is legally required by both state and federal law has been preserved. The narrative that something in Mesa County was deleted that shouldn't have is incorrect. There was stuff that Tina wanted to save that is outside the purview of the law. And if we want to save the extra stuff, then we can change the law to save that. But everything outlined by state and federal law, I've got numerous information that people I believe, that they wouldn't lie to me about this. There's no reason to. And they said, yeah, everything that is supposed to be saved is.
Others saying that this sounds like the attorney for the MyPillow guy and that he's inept. So text messages on either side, as are most issues on the Jeff and Bill Show. And interesting details, insight on the assault that happened there. I always thought it was interesting that this woman kind of comes out of nowhere. If you go back and watch the video, it's almost like she was tipped off. Now, there's no evidence that, that this woman was sent on a mission.
Yeah.
Right. There's no evidence of that. But the woman that assaulted Tina, allegedly assaulted Tina, did kind of just like she was on her way to do something, walked right up to her and then engaged her.
One of the things that I'm curious about, and this is thanks to John Case, the attorney, that did outline for us this morning on the show that there was some sort of a beef between the two of them beforehand. So I wouldn't put it past, especially the younger one. And remember, the younger person in this fight with Tina, as John Case has pointed out to us, is in there for assault, violent assault on someone else. So this is something that this person seems to do. I wouldn't put it past them for whatever reason, tipped off or not tipped off, to know Tina's routine or at least know what she's doing. Even if this isn't the usual time that she goes and tries to refill those water jugs, if that person is in the area and knows this is what Tina does and sees that door open and that opportunity, absolutely they're going to take advantage of it. Or they would have somebody else in the system say, hey, I know she's doing that water thing right now. When you see her at the door, come get me. I wouldn't put him past that either. That you would have that influential grapevine inside the prison.
What did you think of him quoting the judge? And I saw videos and I'd watched videos of the sentencing, but I apparently had missed that you are a danger to society because of the words that come out of your mouth. Whoa. That's a violation of free speech. I think the judges were right.
Here's the thing is, I think that if we read that as a singular quote, it does sound bad. But I think given the totality, it adds a little bit more context. And what I mean by that is, and this is one of the things that we touched on with John Chase, the attorney for Tina Peters, that was in the studio here a second ago, was Tina's lack of contrition. The idea that not only did she not think that she had done anything wrong, but she feels even more righteous and vindicated. And basically, the impression was in the court that I'm going to go out and keep doing this again. So while the statement that that her speech is dangerous, in that singular form does sound bad, I can't look down on any judge that has a defendant in front of them where the defendant says, no, I was right. And if given the opportunity, I will do this. And you put me out on the street, I will do it again and again and again. We can argue whether or not 9 years is too excessive, but that lack of contrition, I think, played into it, that she absolutely said she would go out there and do it again.
All right, join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line. Danny C., by the way, he has a great show the other day. Dan Caplis, by the way, let's talk Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis, a man of tremendous values, getting justice for the people of Colorado for the last 40 years of his life. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 straight million verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. And he got justice for that little girl that lost her life in that mine accident at the amusement park in Glenwood Springs. I mean, did incredible investigative lawyer work, figured out that the company had workarounds when the alarms went off, and they were training their employees. Not only got justice for the family, for the little girl that lost her life, but made all of our amusement parks safer in Colorado. That's Dan Kaplis. So if you're hurt, you got to give Dan Kaplis a call. He's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law's serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Just put the phone number in your phone right now, so you have it when you need it. Dan Kaplis Law. Here's the number: 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Wild show today as we have hosted State Senator Jeff Bridges, Democrat, running for state treasurer, and John Case, Tina Peters' attorney. Give me another show that had that lineup. Don't think so.
Yeah, not at all.
Bill, when do you think Tina Peters is getting out?
I think 72 hours before the end of Polis's term. I think he's going to mic drop that at the end because he doesn't want the blowback stepping off the stage. And I don't think if some of the commutation, again, if he thinks he has a good shot at the White House, I think he holds strong because he doesn't want to take those slings and arrows during a primary. But I think that he is going to focus on other pastures. And I believe, 72 hours before he walks out of office, I think he either commutes or reduces the sentence.
I believe I have the timing right, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, please
Chris
tell me.
Murray was live in studio with us and said that it'll likely come in April because this is what will happen. He will not commute her sentence to a specific time, but he will make her parole eligible, which will kick off in May. So he'll do this trick where it basically allows him to reduce the sentencing, claim credit if he ever runs for president, that he wanted to bring people together.
Yeah.
And obviously a 70-year-old Gold Star mom doesn't need to be in jail for 9 years.
He doesn't
and
take,
then it clicks off, and they ultimately make the decision.
He takes ownership without ownership.
Yes,
that's exactly it.
So you could see her as soon as May.
That's smart. I think that politically
but
very
coming
smart.
This year.
Yeah. Because again, ownership without taking ownership. He can claim that he did it.
Sounds
but also
like
he didn't
a politician.
Do it. Yeah, it does.
Sounds
Total
a lot like a politician.
And that's why we hate them.
I think Jared Polis should let her out this afternoon. Dinner with
Dinner at Jeff's
Tina
house.
Peters.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Coming up the next hour, who are the domestic terrorists? Is it ICE and Donald Trump invading Minneapolis, or is it the leftist protesters up there? We'll debate that next hour, and we want to hear from you. So join us here on the Jeff and Bill Show. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, things are just about to get real interesting. This is 710 KNUS. We'll be right back.